Ultrazeme Stronghold. This is the Acer Team Story Cup, guys. The score between these two teams, mYinsanity versus NewRoSoft, is currently 2-1 in the favor of NewRoSoft. This is game number 4 in a best of 9 between these two clans for the Acer Team Story Cup. Now, it's worth noting we currently see Pengwin in play. Before we do introductions, I just want to explain real quick. Stardust was slated to play. Stardust was online for the last half hour. For whatever unfortunate reason, he can no longer play. I hope this means he can still play later, just maybe not right now. But unfortunately, as it turns out, mYinsanity didn't have a lot of other options. So while Pengwin had just joined us, literally just joined us to cast, he had to get booted out of the call because, of course, we don't want him hearing what's going on. So best of luck to him. Spawning here in the lower right corner of the map, representing his team, mYinsanity's Pengwin, El Capitan of the team. His opponent, though, in the lower left, representing NewRoSoft with that very slick banner. mYinsanity, can we get on this, please? Can we, Ramo, Scooter, whoever, get on this? It is Nightend. Alright, so if we're going to be quite honest, guys, this is not going to be an easy game for Pengwin. If this was another map, maybe it's a little bit different. I kind of joked around, but there's options to do against Nightend. He's never classically been able to do too well with early cheese, and if Pengwin had done some sort of 2-base speedling all in, you know, maybe on another map that could have worked. But on Ultrazeme, this choke protects 2 bases, and it's something that you just really can't get to happen. I think, and this sounds really silly, guys, if Pengwin is willing to play crazy, like, I don't know how confident he is in his macro game right now, but if he was willing to play crazy, I would love to see something like a Nightend Swarm, something like very early 2-base Mutalist, something to catch Nightend off guard. But looks like he is preparing for the macro game, taking his natural base out here. Now, this is fine for a multitude of reasons. Number one being my favorite is that if this does go on long enough, all of a sudden this base mines out way before this one, and you've got a safer third for later on in the game. And holy crap, you guys with the wubs in chat. I love every single one of you right now. That delay on stream, though, it's a big killer. The extractor coming out for Pengwin as well, so he's not going to be delaying his gas, but he's also not taking that base anytime soon, as Nightend did let this complete, so Zerglings will be needed to clear this up. Back at home, Nightend did go for a gateway, but he's not rushing out a cyber core. He's not looking to get that mothership core or gas even all that fast, as he did take a much earlier than usual Nexus. And a big part of this, again, you cover this base with 1 ramp. So I can't help but, like, first off, Pengwin is absolutely the underdog in this matchup. There's no question that he's a good player, he's a talented player, but Nightend is a tournament winner, a tournament player, a very competitive player. And if Pengwin, again, like, the reason I say Mutalisks, close air spawn locations. The reason I say Nightend Swarm, because it catches someone off guard. I've seen GMs die to cannon rushes, and a lot of the times it's because it's a weird strategy that they're just simply not used to dealing with. Same mentality is kind of applied to more aggressive builds. Like, oh wait, I don't normally see people do 2-base Mutalists. This is usually a huge economic stupid thing to do, and that's why, you know, you catch your opponent off guard with it. Whatever Pengwin plans to do, though, I hope he buys his team enough time to get whatever player is up next on the roster on deck rather, because again, Stardust was ready and available to play. No clue why he can't. Joxi, of course, in Korea. Stardust back in Korea. Maybe the time just wasn't planned out correctly. Who knows? Someone asking about the new emotes in chat. Mad the Swine. We have 2 new emoticons, sir. What Cust and Ace Foo. You can Ace AWC and Ace FUU if you want to test them out. They haven't been updated on the Twitch page. Again, guys, I just want to stress, we're going to be cleaning up our Twitch page. We've just put a pretty decent investment into a brand new logo. Once we've got that and the color scheme and all these wonderful texture files, we're going to start working on redoing the whole Twitch page. It'll look really fancy and nice. We'll have a new emoticon list updated and ready to go as well. But Stargate opener here out of Nightend. Ooh, what did that click on? I was clicking on Stargate, it took me over to the probes. Okay, Game Heart. This is... Ooh, well, you know what? Actually, I realized it first... Wait, no, I didn't miss First Blood. It's like, hang on. 100 minerals dead, something must have died, but no. An Oracle coming out first for him. Pengwin, does he see this? He's not going to see this. No Overlords in view whatsoever. Now, there are a lot of Zerg players out there who do the paranoia spore crawlers. You know, you'll know that timing coming to the 6 to 7 minute mark where you're not sure if it's DTs, you're not sure if it's a Stargate. It's always safe to have 1 spore crawler per mineral line regardless, and a big part of this is because Phoenix openers are very common. Oracle openers, less common, but do happen, and that's kind of what's happening right now. Pengwin will see this with the Overlord. Another option he has available to himself is to bring the other queens here. He doesn't have a lot of creep sword right now, and I'm going to certainly mock him for this if he loses because the queens are too slow to come to the main, but Spore Crawlers have been started. Not necessarily at the third, of course, because it hasn't begun yet, but this Oracle can kill the queen, guys. Hydralisk Den goes down immediately, but the Void Ray follow-up's a little bit cute. Oh, hang on. Joe's died. Woo, nailed it. But he pulls them back into the safety of the Spore Crawler. Not a bad choice, but still takes a few more losses than I think you want to. A total of 5 do go down. Again, this really cool, really interesting counter displayed over there. But the Oracle lives, and the Oracle living is almost better than getting, say, even 10 kills and dying. Because this does one of two very important things. Number one, it remains as a threat. Pengwin can never ignore the fact that this Oracle is still lurking around. Two, it's always a bit of a consolation prize to talk about. Yes, that's what I'm saying. You can't ignore it. 3 more drones die. But it's got the option to do Revelation later. You know, tag the Zerg army, recognize where those Mutalisks are, where those Hydralisks are. Oh, actually, hang on. It looked like a Hydra Den. That's what Nightend scouted earlier, but Pengwin canceled that, made for a Spire. This could be really cool. You know, whether it's just straight up Mutalist or whether it's Corruptor Mutalist, these have been two strategies a lot of Protoss players have been struggling with a lot. With Void Race having come up as a follow-up and not immediate Phoenix production, he's thinking Roaches are what Pengwin's going to make. He's thinking that Hydralisks are what Pengwin's going to make. But it's not going to be that classic combination. And Pengwin, oh, buddy, I actually really like what you're doing right now, but you gotta kill that Oracle because he cannot scout this. The second he scouts this, he throws down a second Stargate. The second he scouts this, Phoenixes start getting made. He moves the Queen ahead of time to try and anticipate the Oracle. And again, it's just so important that Nightend keeps thinking this is a Hydralisk Den and not a Spire. Because look what's coming. We got the Robobait on the way. We got Gateways coming down. We'll probably have a couple of Stalkers in play, granted, but I mean, for the most part, this is something that's meant to catch his opponent completely off guard. Pengwin's banked up a lot of gas, but he doesn't have a lot of minerals, and this Oracle's about to come in and confirm just, unfortunately, Pengwin's worst suspicions or worst fears. Although, what's it patrolling around? Nightend! At this point, too, he's also seen no Hydralisks. There's no player who makes a Hydralisk Den and then waits 5 minutes to build Hydralisks afterwards. So again, what he hasn't seen is kind of at the same time just as suspicious as if he had seen the Spire come down. Oh man, this is... I like this. Pengwin's even going to go for a 4th while this is happening by the looks of it. And I think it's probably going to be in a ninja location. I don't know why the drone would be going all the way to Africa the way it is, but we'll find out in a moment. Lings coming across the map will be a bit of a distraction, will be a bit of a nuisance, but yeah, this is big. Pengwin saved up. He didn't build like 2 at a time and hope to throw them out and maybe catch his opponent off guard. No, he's going for one big mega attack. And the idea is to hide these from that Oracle. He needs to not have these revealed. And it will be a ninja base up here in the top right. All the cool moves coming out of our mYinsanity player. Again, we've cast Pengwin in the past, guys, and he's really not had the best games displayed on Base Trade TV. But I think this one may just make up for all of those. Again, so cool. He now confirms that there is a Spire down. But Pengwin's already got a ton of Mutalisks out. Again, he hasn't revealed them, but now they're forced to go because the Phoenix saw everything. No Stargate being made though. Continue investing in Colossus. Maybe a small mistake. These will help weed out the Lings that are sure to follow, but this is not 5 Mutalisks. This is 15 coming straight across the map, barreling down this. There's no cannons in the natural. They're trying to be built. The timings of this might sync up pretty well for Pengwin. There's 5 Stalkers. An Overcharge does get forced out. He'll take out one of the cannons that disengage. Of course, the regen on the Mutalisk is good enough that he'll be able to come back for round 2 pretty comfortably. There are cannons over here, and another Overcharge is going to be available, but you know, if he baits out an Overcharge here, he just goes to the main. The same tactics apply for Terran plays. You just kind of maneuver around your opponent, but still insisting on relying on Blink Stalkers to defend against this, not at all out of the question. This is something totally doable, totally viable with Blink Stalkers. I'm a little surprised we didn't see Phoenix come out of this. But again, for Nightend, I kind of feel like he thinks this was a surprise attack and not an investment. So 24 Mutalisks take down that cannon like nobody's business. 24 Mutalisks kill a Stalker in one volley. And a lot of Lings are looking for the opportunity to run by. And if Pengwin knew that the opportunity was there, he would certainly seize it. There's nothing holding the wall right now. This could be so dangerous for Nightend. But of course, for Pengwin, he's got to be careful, because Force Fields can catch these Colossus and fry them. He doesn't know that it's safe to run up there or not. And I think that's what these Mutalisks are going to be here to do specifically, is check that opening. Yep, he's just going to go for it, run straight through this. He attacks the pylon, does Nightend. That's a mistake. Pengwin focuses down the Cyber Core, and for a player who's relying on Blade Stalkers instead of Phoenixes, this is a huge loss for Nightend. A huge hit to take. 26 Mutalisks is not going to be easy to deal with no matter what, but if you can't warp in those units that attack air, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. The Cyber Core started again immediately, but Pengwin completely disengages. He's waiting to get that Mutalisk flock up to the point where it's out of control. I kind of don't like this, but at the same time, what can he really do? There's cannons at these bases. Nightend has burned his last overcharge for the time being. It will be about 25 in-game seconds before he can do it again, but plenty of cannons are coming down to litter the map, and Pengwin's Mutalisk count is growing quite significantly, up to 32. This is when it gets really scary for any player, Terran, Protoss, and Zerg alike. As we see here, just microing these back, trying to reduce the chance that the ones that are injured continue to get hit, and oh my goodness, 6 more about to pop. Now the upgrades for the armor, I feel, are not the biggest deal in the world. I think he was anticipating perhaps the Phoenix to come out to this, that's why we didn't see a quick +2 weapons. But regardless, who needs +2 weapons when you have 34 Mutalisks? Nightend with so many cannons, Nightend with so many stalkers, Pengwin just has to find the right opportunity. Unfortunately, you know, you don't have that all god mode vision that we do, so we can see the openings in Nightend's armor, so to speak. But disengaging, moving to the right, Blink Stalker's going to fall back once again. He picks off a couple more Mutalisks, but Pengwin, I gotta say, astonishingly, even if he loses this game, he's had really good Mutalisk control. He's really not lost a lot of these. Typically, players who do this will have bled out a couple at this point. They think, okay, I've got 30, I can lose 7, it's not a big deal, but he's managed to keep a lot of these alive. Up to 38, this number is getting pretty crazy, and Nightend, granted a lot of Blink Stalkers, blink underneath a ball of death. 35 Mutalisks still standing, and the stalker count dwindling very fast. Penguin's got to be careful. These are getting pretty low, and he needs to let them regenerate. However, looks like he's going to stay on this thing. Hey, I can one-shot these stalkers. No big deal. Glaveworm gets a triple kill, and 7 probes were killed while that was happening as well. Glaive bounces are a little too strong. Penguin's top right base is flourishing, and Nightend has no idea that Penguin's on 5. 4 and 5 have not been revealed. Oh man, Pengwin is not the player that I thought would be capable of taking out Nightend, but as this game goes on, he is maxed out, boys and girls. He's got 81 drones, his economy is through the roof, and he's got a bank already started. This is too many Mutalisks. Focuses down the Colossus so the Ling Flood can come underneath this. Stalkers might be okay versus Mutalisks, but they cannot handle these Lings! The overcharge goes down, and these Lings are flooding towards the main. Mutalisks are going to try and keep these Zealot reinforcements at bay. They are being picked off so freaking quickly. The Mutalisk count still in the numbers of 29. The Stalker count's going down to 22, and of course the Lings are soaking up enough of these hits. They are the buffer that the Mutalisks need to just run rampant over this army. But was this greedy? Penguin's count is dwindling, but so is Nightend's Stalkers. It's looking really dangerous for both players at this point. Penguin choosing to try and disengage. I kind of like this choice. There's only 2 cannons here. Can't stop to hit and run. He's going to lose probably 4 more Mutalisks on the retreat, sadly. But again, the key thing is Penguin's got a bank. He's got an economy. He's making 17 more Mutalisks behind this. He says, I've lost 40 this game. No freaking problem. Nightend making a couple Archons. These will be fantastic if they can catch the Mutalisks. But they don't have Blink. They're not maneuverable. They're not the same way Blink Stalkers are. Penguin can just simply fly around them. And if we're going to be quite frank, guys, Ling Floods, people always say, like, Archons are so good against Lings, and they can be, as long as they don't get surrounded. But if the Lings get a surround on Archons, even Archons will fall. So while this army's distracted, Penguin goes back towards the natural, takes out these cannons, probes are evacuated, base is going to be abandoned, and we may see a Nexus fall. As secondary Spire's coming down, he wants to get those double upgrades. He says, this is looking pretty good for me, folks. We did have the Infestation Pit complete, so we may see Hive Tech begin sometime soon. But this is looking worse and worse for Nightend as time goes on. The Mutalisk count's still out of control at 33. Stalkers are up to 21. And if these Clump and an Archon can get a hit off, then Nightend's going to get the best game of his life. But that's not going to be easy to do, and it's going to take a big slip up out of Pengwin to do that. The biggest thing about claiming this base, yes, it takes the minerals away. Yes, he killed a couple more probes on the retreat, but that's less gas for Nightend, and every single unit Nightend needs to counter this army is very gas intensive. Colossus, Archons, Templar, Phoenix, Blink Stalkers, none of these are going to come cheap. And looks like I may not have a caster for the next game if he can keep this up, and I'm totally cool with that, guys. Penguin's on so many gas geysers right now, and the best part is he's been able to keep his gas count low because he's been using it like a boss. Sacrificing Mutalisks, granted, sometimes a little bit worrisome, but up to 38 Mutalisks again, I think he's perfectly fine to take this army on. Granted, there are 5 Archons, so pretty much nothing is going to live. But the Mothership Core is sniped, which means there's no retreat for this army for Nightend. He can't go back home to defend against the Lings. He has to physically walk there. Granted, there's still a ton of cannons standing, don't get me wrong, but these Lings flood him like mad. They have no upgrades, they're naked, they're cannon fodder, they're Penguin's way to try and burn his 5,000 mineral bank he had up. The cannon's being focused as well as those Archons. Mutalisks are just running rampant, and Nightend says, you know what, I have to base trade. I've got no other options available to me. But for Pengwin, this may work out okay, because let's not forget, he's got this sneaky base up here with another Spire. Originally for double upgrades, will allow him to continue producing Mutalisks. Probe's being sniped, and Pengwin gonna go for the base. Nightend's economy in tatters, his production unavailable, and we've got some units trying to escape the base. He just made like 84 lings, and I think less than 24 made it out alive. But the Zealots are starting to clean these up. Again, he has no knowledge of Pengwin's base up here, but Pengwin also has no knowledge just yet. Oh, well, he will in a moment. Nightend's gonna try and build a Nexus up here, but it's gonna be awkward when a hatchery comes down on top of it. The production's been cut, but the army supplies are pretty even, and I gotta be honest, guys, Pengwin's army supply is a little inefficient compared to that of Nightend's. Now, granted, he can try and magic box, he can try and do all these wonderful things, but 5 Archons versus Mutalisks. For Nightend, I think what this is gonna come down to is Pengwin has to win with bases. That sounds really awkward and silly to say, but he has to win through structural damage. Nightend has no other buildings on the map other than within his base. Actually, I take that back. Another Nexus is coming down. But Pengwin, at the same time, he's got no way to defend this upper right base. These 5 Zealots can kill this. He needs to recognize that he's also in danger of losing this base trade. Okay, never mind. He did. Whew. Busy tunnel visioning the casting here as he builds another Nexus. We'll watch the unit counting station. There's not going to be a lot of production for the moment, guys. We've both recognized that these players have established new bases. But again, the problem is all 5 of these Archons are going to be stuck at home defending the Nexus, and Pengwin can try and maneuver around them. His Mutalisks are way more maneuverable than the Blank Stalkers, and the regen is going to be insane. So he clears out the base of his opponent. These Lings, these drones. Unfortunately, we'll lose that Spire. This is a crazy scenario that, if I'm going to be truthful with you guys, I love Pengwin, but I never thought he would have been able to bring Nightend this close, much less have this big of a potential to win the game. But his army supply's in the gutter, and while he's on level... Well, oh shit, that got denied. He was like seconds away from level 3 weapon upgrades. That really sucks. But he knows where his opponent's new base is. He's got to finish cleaning these up. There's no worse feeling than diving for that base. Like, if he clears every single one of these buildings up, then he can perhaps even YOLO in here, so to speak. Magic box if he could recognize there's nothing else on the map. But he has to confirm that, and that's not easy to do. Pengwin's minerals are looking really good too, so he can place down a ton of hatcheries. And a lot of Overlords were actually left alive through this mess. So there's still some Zealots roaming around, but the Mutalisks can eventually go clean those up. He's absolutely gutted Nightend's main base at this point, now recognizing this is probably, if not possibly, the only base remaining. Pylons are going to come down, but the Archons, as stated before, they're going to guard this base with their lives. Pengwin's got to be so careful he doesn't fly in here. He could lose these Mutalisks to 3 big volleys easily. Well, actually, I think it's 4. What is it? Hang on. Yeah, 43 damage. Yeah, so 3 big volleys. But currently, pylons are going to be necessary, not just for the structural buildings, but for the actual supply block that Nightend is currently faced with. Pengwin's saying, hey, let me help you with that. Picks off a couple more Stalkers, diving in and out. Man, the Archons, though. 3 range versus 3 range. It's not easy for the Mutalisks to get hits off. The Lings are kind of standing by. I think they're ready to chase, but for Pengwin at this stage, I think he should really clean up those Zealots that he knows are roaming around the map. This is such a dire situation, but such a cool one at the same time. Pengwin's got no way to press this. Oh, you know what? He's not going to think to rush it, but if Pengwin got Swarm Host right now, and I'm not even Swarm Host for the sake of Swarm Host, but Swarm Host for the fact that Nightend has no detection. No observer was made. I don't know if Pengwin can recognize that. That's not an easy thing to recognize, of course, but if he could... Oh man, a quick lair could be his best friend, and he is going for lair tech right now, but I imagine it's probably to invest in more Mutalisks. Oh, we did have a probe escape, though. I was kind of expecting his Lings to be better handled for this, but a probe gets up north, and Pengwin, I just hope he doesn't go for the all-in. Because what I mean by the all-in is he may think, like, okay, I'll just dive everything, and if I can come out barely ahead, then I'll still come out ahead. But he's got to be careful. Blank Stalkers advance forward. A Mutalisk almost dies, but not quite. I think it was a 1 HP, 5 HP. Well, the Mutalisk regen, of course, kicking in. Oh my goodness. This is such a crazy scenario to be in. These Zealots, there's 3 of them. These Zerglings, they can clean them up. Top base, actually had these, I don't know when he researched burrow, but it's going to work out fantastically. These Lings with the Queen unburrowing will be able to deal with these Zealots, no problem. Pylon farm here in the north, and Pengwin's still trying to pick off this base. It might seem insignificant, but every kill he gets at this point matters so desperately because, again, I want to remind you all, his army count was non-existent. Well, I shouldn't say non-existent, but it was like 73 versus 93. He started to even that up a bit. He's killed off these zealots. He's maintained the base. I think he even scouted that pylon farm. Yeah, so he knows there's pylons up here. But these are level 2 weapon upgrade zealots. These lings are not going to be enough. I kind of don't like that he's throwing these away, actually. He will barely clean these up, but it's a lot of lings he could have had roaming around the map. Now he's kind of down in that count. Make it more behind this, though. Queens of Plenty, 3 bases. This is looking better and better for mYinsanity's Pengwin, because Nightend still has no production available, no gateway. He's looking to use his army to win the game, and that's simply not going to cut it. The longer he gives Pengwin, the more chance Pengwin this game. As he macros up, as he gets towards Hive Tech, as he gets towards Lair, was Lair's actually finished. Again, he's making the Spire, and I knew he would. But man, Swarm House would just be devastating at this point. Just straight up devastating, because Nightend has no detection. But again, Pengwin has no way of knowing this, so it's not like he's making the wrong moves. He's just not making the right moves. Well, I shouldn't say the right move. He is making the right moves. He's at this point. He's got freaking level 2 Mutalisks, 36 amount of them. Sorry, my mouse is freaking out here as I'm trying to pan around. Sorry, guys. The Baneling Nest. Okay, so you look at this army right now, and what good are Banelings against? Everything here is going to snipe off Banelings, right? The idea is the Archons will blast them to pieces or they'll soak the hits. But Banelings, let's not forget, do an additional damage bonus to buildings. And I think what might end up happening is Pengwin may say, screw it, I'll drag all the Archons to the back with the Mutalisk and just charge in with like 40 Banelings. Some very sick irony coming up here, as I don't think he saw the probe, no. So he didn't scout this coming down. But Nightend's not looking to put his production in a place where it's going to be vulnerable to Pengwin. He's actually trying to sneak this, and I like this. This is clever. But Penguin's also got to kind of know, like, alright, Nightend still hasn't put any gateways down. Why would he sit there on this one base scenario with all these probes? What could he be doing? What could he be thinking? He also saw him trying to sneak up pylons earlier, so in that regard, I would kind of like to see Penguin start sending lings to each corner of the map, a drone to each corner of the map, like, make sure and confirm Nightend has absolutely nothing else. But still, the Mutalisk count grows. 42 in total. Banelings. It's such an interesting dynamic. Banelings have the potential to win this. But because he's going for Banelings, this really scares me into thinking Pengwin may go for the all-in. Now, granted, what Banelings are going to do is explode on not only the buildings, but again, these 350 shielded Archons. Oh god, this is so gross and so frustrating for Nightend. I can't help but think too, for Nightend, like we look at this situation we're in right now for Pengwin and Nightend, and a lot of this comes back to like Nightend saw those Mutalisks in time to build Phoenix out of a Stargate opener. He could have invested in a second Stargate if he thought this was going to be an investment, but if he felt confident that Blink Stalkers would cut it, and I think that was one of the biggest mistakes in this game. Whether this would have still ended up the same way, I have no idea. But the Blink Stalkers right now, they just can't cut it. As we see, they keep diving forward, and Penguin's Mutalisks just don't take damage. And what little damage they do take, he heals up very swiftly. But still, he doesn't know about this base. This is really dangerous because the Twilight Council's coming up, which means possibly a Dark Shrine, which means possibly DTs. I'll put the production tab back on since both players are actually building now, guys. Even the armor upgrades coming up with these Mutalisks. I mean, everything about them makes them more and more deadly, more and more dangerous. As long as he avoids the Archon Blast, he's good to go. 8 more Mutalisks coming out, 42, so it'll be 50 in total. And I want to see those Banelings. Like I said, there's this going on up here. Pengwin scouts this. He needs to take this down right now with these lings. He recognizes this. He sees the Dark Shrine canceled immediately. Nightend decides to put it up at home instead. But what good is the Dark Shrine if you've got no gateways to produce from? He could warp in a couple Stalkers, try and make use of these before they go down. Nightend, he's got some minerals, but not a lot. But this is actually kind of dangerous too. This was a huge investment out of Nightend, a massive investment. He was meant to build his army off of this, and with how low his economy is off of one base, he's guys. If Pengwin does this right, Nightend should never expand again for the rest of the game. In fact, I'm surprised Pengwin isn't gooping up all the bases with the Overlords just to be safe. But every one of these taken down, and Nightend didn't warp in a single Stalker. That's really unfortunate for Nightend. But we got the Infestation pick coming up. Oh god, we may either have Hive Tech, which is probably going to be... Oh! Ooh! This is a scenario! Okay, this is a scenario where Blinding Clouds could actually be incredibly effective if he does go to Hive Tech. I would definitely love to see Swarm Host, though. No question about it. But if this goes to Hive Tech... 1-1 started here. These lings are all going to turn to Banelings, that's for sure. I was going to say, though, Blinding Clouds will keep these Stalkers from doing anything. The Archons would have to kind of struggle to move around, because, again, they can sort of melee, but they're mostly range 3. He will miss this Zealot run-by that's coming to this side of the map. I don't know if he'll want to respond to chase it. He's got to think, like, there's no way one Mutalisk was... Or one... Oh, God. Oh, God. I didn't even look at the production tab, guys. That's 51 friggin' Banelings. Pengwin... I hope this doesn't throw the game for him. But one way or another, this is going to be the coolest freaking attack. Because there's going to be Glaive Worms and Mutalisks bouncing from one side. Banelings coming in. He's not even going to go with 51. He's making 17 more for round 2. So 51 Banelings coming into this army. We're going to see explosions go off and the Archons even go down to the Banelings. Stalkers on full retreat, but good game is called. Ladies and gentlemen, give a big fucking round of applause. mYinsanity's Pengwin.